Cody Lancaster looked up from the bleachers like he'd felt someone watching him, even though no one was supposed to be paying attention. Not to him. Not today. His daughter had just made varsity cheer. New girl, transfer student, barely already a few of the girls had circled her like wolves playing polite. The kind of fake smile kindness you only recognize if you've survived it before. But this isn't about the cheer squad. Not really. It's about something that happened when Cody Lancaster stood up, calmly walked to the edge of the gym floor, and whispered something to one of the girls, gripping his daughter's ponytail like a leash. And then that girl, Kayla Renshaw, 16, honor roll, captain of the cheer team since freshman year, stepped back, blinked like she'd seen a ghost crawl out of her own reflection, and vanished before anyone could stop her. Not disappeared, she ran, screaming out of the gym, down the hallway, past the office, her phone, car keys, even her shoes left behind like a crime scene nobody wanted to process. No one knew what Cody said. No one could even agree on when he said it. Half the gym swore he never moved from his seat. This video isn't supposed to exist. Not because it's been banned or buried, but because it was never uploaded. It was copied off a school security feed by a kid who was suspended 3 days later for violating privacy policy. His parents still won't talk about what they found on his laptop. No one will. But the footage, the real footage, looking at it now, this is what they didn't want anyone to see. And once you do, the rest of the world starts to peel back in ways you can't explain. You'll hear things when the room is silent, see colors in people's eyes that were never meant to be named, and you'll start to understand why no one asks about Cody Lancaster. There's a moment in the video, FRAME 009347, where you can see his daughter, Harper, mouthing something under her breath. Her lips don't match the words you expect. They shape something, ... ancient. Not a curse, not a threat, a name, but not hers, not Cody's either. A name with too many vowels, like it doesn't belong to this language. This world. And here's where everything fractures. 3 days after Kayla vanished, her family received a voicemail. At 3:12 a.m., a single sentence, a man's voice, without breath. She remembered too soon. Then static. The number was traced. Not to a phone, not to any device, but to a Navy signal tower decommissioned in 1998. No power, no records, no access. What you're watching right now, this isn't just about a girl who stood up to bullies. This is about the moment reality split because someone whispered the wrong truth out loud. This is about the question no one ever dared to ask. Who is Harper's father, really, and what did he bury to keep her safe? You still think this is just a high school story? Then explain why. 10 minutes after this footage ends, the gym's floor buckled like something underneath was trying to get out. The floor didn't crack like a normal collapse. It breathed. Slow at first, like old lungs remembering rhythm, and then buckled with a sickening groan that every phone mic failed to catch. Not corrupted, just gone. Deleted in real time. Every file from every angle ended the same way. Silence, static, and a glitch that doesn't act like compression. It feels like forgetting. The school blamed a sinkhole. Local news said it was caused by rain, saturation, and structural fatigue. But the gym was new, barely 5 years old, reinforced, clean permits, a backup generator. None of that made sense, and no one asked twice, because by then, too many people had started waking up without remembering how they fell asleep. One girl on the JV squad claimed she went to brush her teeth that night and caught her own reflection, moving slower than her body. Another boy, Dylan Morse, started bleeding from one nostril during a math test and whispered he's not her father before fainting. When they brought him to the nurse, he didn't recognize his own handwriting on the quiz. His name had been written in cursive, but his mom swore he'd never learned it. And then there's the voicemail. Not the original, a different one. One only Harper heard. She woke up to it. No missed call, no timestamp, just the recording already playing on her phone, one earbud still in, though she swears she hadn't fallen asleep listening to anything. The voice wasn't a man's this time, it was a child. I remember where she went, but they said I wasn't supposed to. She tried to play it again. Nothing. Not even a trace in her recent apps. That morning, her phone's memory card fried completely, but just the audio files. Her messages, photos, videos fine, but every voice memo, every song, every ringtone of in her alarm tone corrupted, just static. Except for one that stayed playable for a moment too long before collapsing. The title of that file, Frami 009-1347, the same one we showed you. Now here's the part no one talks about. Cody Lancaster didn't come home that night. No missing person report was filed. No search party. Not even a school notice. Harper kept showing up to class like nothing happened. But the truth is, someone did try to report him missing. Her guidance counselor, Mrs. Frey. She logged the case on the district system at 2:17 p.m., the day after the incident. It stayed there for 12 minutes. Then the entire portal crashed. Not her computer. The system. Every report filed within that window rebooted as if they'd never existed. Frey hasn't been seen since either. They said she transferred, that she was pregnant, that she had a breakdown. No one agrees, and none of those explanations line up. Her car is still in the staff lot, locked, undisturbed. A Starbucks receipt inside, dated 3 days after she supposedly quit. So what happened to Cody? That's where the second character comes in, but he's complicated. His name is Miles. No last name, just Miles. He introduced himself as a family friend in a late-night email to Harper's school. Said he had authorization to pick her up early. The school called Harper's emergency contact, her father's number, and the voice that answered matched Cody's voicemail greeting exactly. But that phone had already been shut off for over 48 hours. Still, they let her go, because the voice was calm, familiar, too familiar. Too familiar. Miles drives a 1998 Lincoln Town Car. Spotless interior, factory radio, still intact. But the presets all 6 are tuned to dead frequencies. No static, just silence. Harper noticed that on the ride home, and the way he glanced at her in the rearview. Not like a guardian, but like someone memorizing her, not protectively, cataloging. She asked him once gently how he knew her dad. He said, "I helped him forget." When she pressed, he gave her a smile that didn't reach his eyes and turned up the silence on the radio. That night, Harper dreamt of a woman she's never met. Red hair, burned at the ends. Mismatched shoes. Standing on the gym floor where the crack first formed, whispering, they only gave him one daughter this time. The next morning, Harper found her toothbrush wet, her bedsheets folded neatly at the foot of her mattress. The TV in her room was untuned to a channel she didn't know existed, showing a cheer competition from 2 years ago. Her name announced as captain, but she wasn't there. Her face never appeared, and yet the voice calling her name was hers. Miles pretends not to notice these things. When Harper mentions them, he acts distracted, like something behind her has caught his eye. But there's never anything there. He doesn't sleep. She's heard him pacing the kitchen floor at 3:33 a.m. Heard him muttering dates under his breath. The same 7 over and over. August 6, 2005. April 19, 1999. September 10, 2021. July 3, 1982. October 12, Can't every time she opens her mouth to tell a teacher, a friend, anyone, her tongue freezes. Her throat closes, and a memory floods in that doesn't belong to her. A hospital hallway. Burnt tile, a red folder being handed to someone who looks like Cody, but younger. A baby crying. The name tag says Lancaster, but the mother's face is blurred, like someone smeared the film. She asked Miles once what her mother's name was. He paused. Which time? That's when she started recording him. But the audio never survives playback. Every time, the files erase themselves. Not instantly, not completely. They slowly degrade, like they're rotting from the inside. Words bend, sentences reverse, and then, silence. Except once. One clip made it past 30 seconds. Miles's voice, filtered and warped, says, "It's not a haunting, it's a reset." That's what led her to the old campus records room. The one no student is allowed in. Where the yearbooks are kept. Back to 1964. Where she found something she hasn't shown anyone. A photo. Torn down the center. One side shows the 2003 varsity cheer team, 11 girls, 1 coach, labeled clearly, but the other half is the same photo, same team, same uniforms, same date. Except now, it's 12 girls, and in the back, row Harper. Same face, same eyes. But the caption, underneath, Harper Lancaster, deceased, she was never supposed to see that. And now that she has, things are unraveling. She dreams in languages she's never studied. She remembers arguments that never happened. She sees her reflection lag behind her body in the mirror. And sometimes, just for a second, her phone lights up with a notification that disappears too fast to catch. But it always starts with the same words. You weren't supposed to. And now, neither are you. Because something is coming through the cracks, through the missing frames. And the corrupted files and the memories they tried to recycle. And it remembers you watched this. The floor didn't just buckle that day, it opened, and whatever's on the other side. Harper thought the worst of it had passed. Maybe not gone, not cured, but paused. Like the chaos had turned its head elsewhere, just long enough for her to breathe. She'd started writing again, but not in the journal. The pages had begun to curl, disintegrate, as if her thoughts were spoiling the paper. She switched to sticky notes. 1 idea per square, tucked into drawers, inside cereal boxes, under shampoo bottles. She thought, if she spread the memories thin enough, they couldn't rot all at once. Couldn't be taken, and for a few days, it worked. Her reflection matched her again. The toothbrush stayed dry when unused. No audio glitches, no dreams in languages without alphabets. Miles even began to feel normal, almost comforting, like an uncle who drank too much at Thanksgiving but never crossed the line into cruelty. He laughed at the news. He watered the plants. He hummed off-key in the kitchen. Harper dared to ask him a question one morning, casual, almost playful. Were you really assigned to me, or is that just something you say when you don't want to lie? He grinned. That depends on whether you're asking now or remembering me saying it later. It sounded like a joke. It didn't feel like one. But Harper ignored the itch. She wanted to believe this was the third act. That all the strange events, the vanishing girl, the glitched out footage, had a center, a meaning, a spine, and maybe she'd just lived too long without answers. Maybe anything that resembled an explanation felt like comfort. Then came the box. It arrived on her front step. No label, no postage. A simple brown cube sealed with clear tape. Miles didn't see it, or pretended not to. He stepped right over it, barefoot, humming the same off-key tune he always did when he made pancakes, as if the box weren't there at all. Harper brought it inside. Inside, a VHS tape. No markings, no writing, just black plastic and a rewind sticker half peeled from age. No note. She didn't own a VCR, but her school did down in the AV room behind the old auditorium. The room no one used anymore since everything went digital. She waited until lunch period, made up an excuse about filming for the yearbook, and slipped down the hallway with the tape clutched like evidence from a cold case. The tape played without static, without distortion, clean. To clean. At first it was just security. Footage grainy, silent. A classroom from 2005. Fluorescent lights humming low in the background. Students shuffle in, faces half lit, backpacks slung low. But something is off. The room's configuration doesn't match any current wing of the school. The ceiling tiles don't exist anymore. The chalkboard is green, not white. Then she sees her. Harper. Same hair, same slouch, same quiet, watchful eyes. But this version of her is younger, maybe 8, 9 years old, and she's writing something in chalk at the board. The word is only visible for a few frames before a student walks in front of the lens. Remember, the tape continues. Nothing dramatic, just kids, learning. Time passes. The camera's angle never changes until suddenly, every student turns toward the camera at once. In unison, silent. Every face but Harper's. She keeps writing, and for one frame, just one, the word on the board changes. Forget. And then static. The screen cuts to black. No credits, no timestamp, just a faint audio hum that lingers even after the machine powers off. Harper ejects the tape with shaking hands, but when she flips it over, there's no spool. The plastic is hollow, empty. Miles is waiting in the hallway when she exits. No expression, no humor. Just standing, watching. Where'd you go? He asks. Nowhere. She lies, and something in his face shifts, not physically, not visibly, but perceptibly, like a clock resetting behind his eyes. That night, she digs yearbooks, archive articles, school board documents from 2005. She finds a tragic entry buried in a scanned newsletter. Freak fire claims West Wing no. Survivors in room 206. It was labeled a wiring issue. A freak accident, but Harper was in room 206 today. It wasn't burned. It wasn't anything. Except it doesn't exist on the school's blueprints. Not even in old ones. So she asks Miles again, sharper this time. Angrier. Who am I? He stares too long, then says, you're the version that survived the longest. The next morning, she wakes up to the world feeling tilted. The kitchen smells like gasoline. Her phone wallpaper has changed to a still from the VHS. She didn't take a photo. There are handprints on the mirror in her room. Child's fridge hums in a tone too close to a heartbeat, and her name is gone. Not from her phone, not from her school ID, not from her mail. From people's mouths. Teachers now call her hey or you. Friends wave but can't say her name aloud. Even Miles, when he tries, chokes like the word is physically stuck in his throat. And her voice memos, her own recordings, play back in someone else's voice. A woman, older, shaky, and always the same message. I didn't leave her. I had to let go. That's when she finds the photo. Buried in a folder on her school laptop labeled practice exams. Not one she created. Hidden between spreadsheets and test rubrics. The file is dated years before she enrolled. It's a crime scene photo of a cheer uniform, burned, left on a scorched wooden floor. The initials sewn into the collar. H.L. It is dated August 6, 2005. The date. Miles whispers in his sleep. She confronts him this time without fear. I died, didn't I? She asks, and for the first time he doesn't deflect. He just nods. But then he adds, you were supposed to. That's when Harper begins to believe she's cracked the mystery. That maybe she did die. That all this, the mirrored events, the vanishing people, the misaligned reflections are fragments of a second chance bleeding into the old world. That maybe the thing that watched her from the mirror was not a ghost, but another Harper, trapped. Maybe she's the glitch, the leftover data, the echo. She feels peace in the idea until she finds the voicemail, a new one, buried in the system folder of her phone, named in binary. Translated, it reads, you're not Harper, just that. No voice. No audio. Just a name and a lie. So, if she isn't Harper, then who? She replays every recording, every file, looking for patterns, and in the VHS footage frame by frame she finds it. The girl at the board isn't Harper. Not quite. Her eyes are darker, her posture tense, and her reflection in the glass of the classroom door moves just slightly out of sync. That girl isn't writing, remember. She's writing, remember. Not a command, a process. As in, to stitch together what was torn apart, and suddenly, it started with the drawings. At first, Harper thought they were hers found inside her locker, folded into tight triangles. Paper lined like elementary school notes, the kind passed in silence during math class. But the handwriting was slanted, differently, more deliberate, and what mattered wasn't what the pages said, it was what they showed. A circle, always in black ink, rough, shaky, etched over and over, like someone had drawn it 100 times before and couldn't remember which version was real. Around it, symbols, not letters, not quite language. Shapes with rhythm, repetition. Like if you stared too long, they started to vibrate behind your eyes. She showed one to Miles, asking if he recognized it. He didn't speak, he just took the drawing, stared at it for a long moment, then quietly fed it into the garbage disposal and turned it on. That's when she knew he wasn't protecting her. He was containing her, and she wasn't alone. Later that week, during detention, in an unused classroom room 108B, a windowless brick cube usually kept locked, Harper found another note. This one wasn't folded. It was taped beneath the desk, nearly invisible unless you knew to look. Someone had carved into the wood above it with a dull key. If you dream of the lake, you're one of us. She hadn't told anyone about the lake. Not even Miles. Not about the dream where she stands barefoot on the dock at dusk, wind humming in her ears like whispered static. Not about the silhouette across the water, motionless, half sinking into fog. Not about the moment just before she wakes, where the sky flickers like bad footage and her own voice calls out behind her, begging her to stay asleep, so she starts to watch. Faces in the hallway, voices in the cafeteria, looking for others who might be dreaming the same dream. She notices the girl in band, who always sits alone, tracing that same circle into the condensation on her water bottle. The sophomore boy in chemistry who wears sunglasses indoors and flinches whenever someone says his name. And the janitor, the quiet man with the burn scar down his right wrist, who hums the exact same 4-note sequence from the VHS tape Harper found weeks ago. They're not random, they're fragments. Somehow, somewhen, they were all part of it, and now they're watching her. She finds more messages, scrawled behind bathroom stall panels, hidden under the library's carpet edges, carved into tree bark behind the football bleachers. The same phrases, repeated in different hands. She isn't the first. The glitch comes before the flood. You were right all along. They made us forget. Then the dreams shift, not hers, everyone's. A shared sequence begins repeating. Those who've seen the lake start reporting identical details. The smell of metal, the soft sound of typing in the distance, the way their fingers feel longer in the dream than in waking life. But no one talks about it publicly. There are no group texts, no forums. It's always wordless, recognition-locked glances in the hallway. Subtle nods, one finger drawn across the chest in the shape of that same jagged circle. Whatever's happening, it's spreading. Not like a virus, but like a memory waking up. She starts finding her own image in places she's never been. Security camera stills emailed from encrypted addresses. Black and white Polaroids slid under her bedroom door in the middle of the night. In one photo, her face is pressed against a classroom window, her eyes hollow, hands clawing at the glass from inside. But she doesn't remember being there until one day she finds the final photo taped to her mirror. It's not of her, it's of a hospital room, dated 2003. A girl in a hospital gown sits on the edge of a bed, facing away from the camera. On her wrist, the name Harper L., but the room's wall calendar says August 12, 2025. The photo is from next week. That's when the observer begins writing. Not messages, not warnings. Reports. Typed out in courier font, printed on old brittle paper, and slid under Harper's door in the dead of night. The first page is labeled Subject, Lancaster. H. Instability Index, Rising Loop, 004, A. 47% merge. The report details everything, not just her memories. Her decisions, every time she looked left instead of right. Every time she believed Miles instead of asking more. It describes her watching the VHS. It describes her reading the note in room 108B. It describes the moment she thought she was about to uncover the truth. And then it says, Subject approaching threshold awareness. Initiate misdirection sequence. Before recursive collapse, she flips the page over, panicking, and on the back is a list of names. Other subjects: Kayla Renshaw, Dylan Morse, Mrs. Frey, Miles known organic proxy, Lancaster, H, primary Lancaster, H secondary fork. And one name she's never seen before, Harper D, observer compromised. Her fingers tremble. This was never about memory loss, it was about memory management. What if all of this, every dream, every glitch, every missing voice memo, was part of a simulation with a leak? Not a computer program, something older, biological, cultural, a mechanism buried deep in the way we process trauma and rewrite reality to survive it. What if the government didn't erase history, they reformatted it, and she was part of a test, to see who would remember anyway. A test she's beginning to fail. The next morning, the lake isn't in her dreams, it's in her backyard, just there, where the grass should be, fog curling up from the water's surface, still silent, unmoving. Her phone won't capture it. Her voice memo stutters every time she tries to describe it, and when she calls, Miles's number doesn't exist, not disconnected, never registered. She knocks on the neighbor's door, no answer. She bikes to school. Every locker is closed, every classroom empty. No announcements, no noise, just her, and a piece of paper taped to her own locker. Time's almost up, reboot pending. She pulls it down. Another note beneath it. Play the tape again. Watch the mirror in the corner. She rushes to the AV room. The tape is gone, but the monitor is on. Playing anyway, without power, without input. And this time, she doesn't look at the board, she looks at the mirror, and sees herself. Not in 2005, now standing in the classroom alone, watching the version of her at the board keep writing. The girl turns, but she doesn't have Harper's face, she has yours. She stares through the glass, mouth moving in slow, deliberate shapes, and you realize you've seen her before. In that dream you had at 13, that you wrote off as anxiety. In the flicker of a home video, where you swear a stranger moved behind your younger self. In the looped whisper, your phone played, once when no apps were open. This was never her story, it was yours, and you've been remembering wrong. The file plays one final frame, circle. A mirror, your own handwriting, and one phrase, you're not crazy. They lied to you.